Hello there. We're trying something different this time. I got a little microphone. I didn't love the sound quality on the last video. No, I'm already playing with my hair. It's okay. We're just gonna let it go. We're gonna flow the way we flow. We're gonna do what we do. Gonna feel comfortable. We're friends. We're friends here. So here we go. This is February. The month of February. February wrap up. Crazy. I can't believe it's over. It also felt like forever, so kind of a mix. This month, I read 16 books. Why? Am I in a competition with myself? Do I just keep having to one up myself? Kind of. I kind of feel like I do. I do. I hope not next month, because I don't think I can outdo 16 books. I made a goal, a wine goal, that I could open a bottle of wine when I read 30 books, and I'm at 29 at the end of February. I don't think I deserve it. I think I need to hang out with friends more, honestly. Because what is this? Anyways, starting out the February books. So I finished out a series I was reading. Also, I only own like 3 of the books I read. So we'll talk about that. We can talk about that too. But first book I read, Bad Blood, part of the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. We'll get it up on the screen. We'll do it. Do the dang thing. So this is kind of a wrap up of the 4th book of the series. There's kind of this ongoing case throughout the whole series of the books, and this is the case. We finally made it. It's been talked about all 4 books, and we are solving it, and it was amazing. It was really good. And I rated it 4 stars. Highly would recommend. And then the other one, it's actually a novella that wraps up the series. It's at the end of the Bad Blood book, 12. It's called 12, and it goes back to when each of them were 12. I rated this one 4.5 stars. I have little notes over here, so if I keep looking off over here, at this. I took notes. Can you believe it? I did my homework. But it's this girl that believes that a suicide was actually a murder, and she calls in the FBI. She gets the police calling the FBI, and they try to figure out if this case is actually a murder instead of a suicide. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was a really good wrap up. I went back to when each of them were 12 and we're kind of figuring out that they were special, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was a good one. 4.5 out of 5 would recommend. The next book I read was You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This was my favorite book of the month. It was a 5 out of 5. I looked it up on Goodreads, and I want to say it was like a 3.65 book, and I was worried. But you kind of have to get over that stigma sometimes and just read a book that might be a little lower. And that's not even a bad rating, but like I get scared when I read below 4 star. So I womaned up, got over it, and I read the dang book. Okay, so this is an adult book. I would not recommend this if you don't like scenes, if you don't want to read scenes. You know what scenes I'm talking about. You know. Very dry humor. The main character is a comedian. She definitely shows she's a comedian. She is hilarious, but super dry humor. The first chapter, I was like, why is this humor? But towards the end of the book, I was cracking up. I was laughing so hard at some of these dumb jokes. But definitely would recommend to an adult audience. It really gave me definitely maybe vibes, you know, when the dad is talking to his daughter about the woman he fell in love with and which one was her mom. Like, it takes place in New York, and I love it. A guy comes over to cook dinner for her roommate, and over the next 7 years, they just keep running into each other. She gets married, she gets divorced, and then she keeps running into this guy, and they become friends. And I was not expecting to like it, and I was dying laughing. I was rooting for them. I wanted them to be together. There's no explanation why these 2 people can't be together except for their own hangups, and that just, it explains the story. Would highly recommend. After that, I read, if you heard of Ice Planet Barbarians. Okay, we're not judging here, right? We're not judging here. Okay. So the first book is about an alien abduction. Yeah, I hear it. I hear the judgment. I hear it. Okay. Anyway, basically, aliens are taking 22-year-olds who don't have good families that won't be missed, and they are abducting them, and they crash land on another planet, and these girls get out and they find the aliens of this different planet, and they're actually very nice. Each book is about a different couple. So one of the girls from the spaceship and one of the aliens from the planet. And so I read the third and fourth books, Barbarian Lover and Barbarian Mind by Ruby Dixon. And I gave them both 3 stars. I don't feel like these are books that I'm absolutely in love with. It's books that are easy to come back to because I already know what's going on. I already know all the descriptive words that they use, how they're mated. So it's just like coming back home and just having a little comfort read, and it's a spicy read. But that's okay. We love it here. If you're looking for a spicy read, not all of mine are spicy, but that one is. Kind of has like a mate concept. If in middle school you loved the werewolf concept, you could really like this. I would recommend this to you if you are into the mate concept. It's just a little different because it's with aliens, but if you want to try it, you go for it. You live your little life. Have a good time. Enjoy it. The next book I read was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and this is about Stevie Bell. She wants to solve murders. She wants to be a detective. She picks up on things. So she goes to the school, and it has a background of having a murder that happened there like 30, 40 years ago, about that range. And she wants to solve this murder that happened. No one has been able to solve it, but she thinks she can. So she like assigns herself the homework of figuring out who did this murder all these years ago. And okay, that sounds so good. I didn't enjoy it. I listened to the audiobook, so maybe it'd be better if I actually read it as a book, but I couldn't get into it. I kept forgetting who the characters were. I gave this like a 1.5, 2 stars. Like, it was low. There was a good turn at the end where I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Then you have to read the second book to kind of keep figuring it out. Like, the first one leaves you on a cliffhanger, but I wasn't into it enough to read a second book. So I will say it did remind me a lot of Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So if you like that one, I would give this one a try. It has the same character feels. A lot of characters are very similar. And it kind of evolves the same way as the Inheritance Games does in a way. I would highly recommend this if you love the Inheritance Games. I think you would absolutely love this, I think, as far as I know. But give it a try. Try it out. See how you like it. Next book I read, I'm also doing these a little out of order because I read a series, the Improbable Meet Cute series, and I want to talk about them all at the end at the same time. So I'm not talking about those because at this point I was like on the 4th book and that too. But I want to talk about those all at the same time and not so spread out throughout the video. So the next book I read for the means of this video was Royal Replicas by Michael Pierce, and I looked it up on Goodreads, and that one only had like maybe like 2,000-ish reviews. It wasn't a very well read book, which I can't even remember where I found it, but I honestly really liked the concept of this book. I will say it very much introduces abuse right away. In the first chapter, she's getting abused. They have switches, which I should probably look up what that looks like, and I don't really know, but they put them on her feet and they hurt her and they cause her skin on her feet to like scab over. I don't think that's telling too much because it literally happens in the first chapter. And so it definitely does jump into abuse really fast. So if you don't want abuse, it's not a good thing. But it's also very regular throughout the series. I'm halfway through the 4th book, so I won't talk about the 4th book in this video. But the first 3 books, they all have quite a bit of abuse, and she's repeatedly getting abused by the same man, and she tells people about this. She tells people she's getting abused, and they don't do anything. And I'm like, I feel like this man should be put in jail or something. But this is a fantasy world. This book reminded me of The Selection. So she is one of 7 clones of the princess. The princess is very sick. She basically cannot get out of a wheelchair, cannot get out of bed, needs help. The queen knows she's having this problem. She decides to make clones of her daughter. And all the clones are called in when they're 18. Now, the princess died 3 years ago. So they are basically deciding who is going to be introduced as the princess because no one knows that she died. No one knows how sick she was. They're coming up with a new princess and they just want to like sneak her in and be like, haha, see, she's all better. She's all better. She died. This is a clone. But the main character who's a clone had no idea that she was a clone. She's like, what? This is news to me. But the one thing with this book, I will say, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. But the last couple of chapters became a lot. There was a lot going on, a lot of different stories. You're kind of trying to keep up. Yeah. I also read the novella in this book, Reset, by Michael Pierce. It's kind of about the year before she gets called in and what happens in the year before she gets called in. So it's not really part of the story, but it's kind of like a little love story she was having. But they make her forget that she was having a love story because she's kind of becoming rebellious because of this love. So they wipe it from her memory and they told her, you got in a terrible accident. And that's why you can't remember. So I guess that's one way to do it. And then I also read book number 2 in the series is Royal Captives, and book number 3 is Royal Threat. Book number 2, book number 1, I read 4 stars. Book number 2, 3 stars. And book number 3, 2 stars. That's backwards. That wasn't backwards. I said it right, but it sounds backwards. I would recommend the first book, and then the second and third book have just become too much, but I am sucked in to this love story. I want to know who she's going to fall in love with. If you like love triangles, this is for you. This is for you. Here's my gift. You're welcome. We are coming back around to the little cute series I read all throughout the month. It is the Improbable Meet Cute series. It is only available on Kindle, so I read it on the Kindle app. It was like $6, like $6 for these 6 books. On Kindle, they're very short, very little novellas, but they had a couple big authors write them for Valentine's Day. And now I'm here to talk to you about them. So the first one was by Christina Lauren. It's called The Exception to the Rule. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. It's a little... They're like emailing back and forth. She sends an email to who she believes is her teacher, and he writes back and says like, oh, I'm sorry, you sent this to the wrong person. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry I sent that email to the wrong person, but it was really nice to hear from a guy on Valentine's Day. So it kind of opens this door. Every year after this, he writes her an email on Valentine's Day and it's just like, hey, how's your year been? And that's the only day they talk for like 7 years. Okay, book number 2 in the series was written by Abby Jimenez, called Worst Wingman Ever. So this one, Holly is a nurse for her grandma who is dying. And so she goes over to her apartment every day, checks on her, gives her medicine, all that good stuff. And she's leaving one day, and there is a note on her car. It's Valentine's Day, and it is a inappropriate message, like 1 free ticket to a good night, basically. And she's like, what the heck? Who is this from? Goes home. The next day she hasn't, like, I'm sorry, I put that on the wrong car note. And so she keeps leaving messages on her car. He keeps writing back. Cute little love story. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Or March. Perfect for March. Funny. I rated that one 3.5. I liked it. It's kind of hard to get into some of these because they're so short. Like I think one of them was like 50 or 60 pages. So they're pretty short. But they're cute little love stories. If you just want a little love story in the middle of your day, I mean, it takes like 2 hours to read one of these. Okay, the third book in this is by Sally Thorne. It's called Rosie in the Dreamboat, and she takes her sister to the spa on Valentine's Day because her sister got a promotion, and they go through this Valentine's Day, and they have a flotation tank, and she gets locked inside it. So they call on the fireman, and this fireman is talking to her outside of the tank and is like helping her through the situation, being stuck in this tank. And I'll be honest, this one was my favorite. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I didn't feel like it was quite 5, but it was funny. I had a good time. It was funny having her being stuck inside this tank. And that would be scary, but like she made it entertaining. She did it. Book 4 was by Jasmine Guillory. I don't know how to say it. I hope that's right. Guillory? I think it's Guillory. Like, so what happens? She is obsessed with this bakery. And she goes to it 3 times a week. She orders food there. But the baker is kind of mean to her. So she swears off going to this bakery. But she can't handle it. She loves their food. She walks in and an earthquake strikes. And the baker's just standing there, so she runs over, throws him under a table, gets under there with, pushes him, whatever. They get under a table while this earthquake is happening. And that's basically what happens. But it felt very fake. Like, I was like, what is happening? Like, what? An earthquake? I will say this one also had spice. It wasn't that, I didn't think it was too spicy, but I just wasn't into it because it felt a little fake. But if you like earthquakes, if you like books about earthquakes, if you like enemies to lovers because she thinks that he hates her, it could be for you. It also comes with the set, so like might as well just read it if it's already in the set, right? Book number 5 in the series was by Ashley Poston. It was called With Any Luck. So this girl is the best man for this wedding, and he's the maid of honor. So the guy is the maid of honor, and she is the best man for this wedding. And the day that they wake up for the wedding, they're missing. And so the two have to retrace their steps from the night before. They were having their bachelorette and bachelor party separately, but they have to retrace the steps, figure out where they could have gone before their wedding starts that night. It's cute. I rated that one 3 stars. Cute little quick story to get through. The 6th book in the series was by Sariah Wilson. It was called Royal Valentine. Okay. Monte Carlo lovers out there, Princess Switch lovers out there, this is for you. She's the princess of, I forget what the place is called. I don't think it's real. She's the princess. And she sends back her assistant as her. Some sunglasses says, "Be quiet, stay in your room. I'm gonna hang out in the room for 3 days. I'll be back." She finally gets her alone time. The press goes off with her so she can have time. And she goes to the Spanish Steps. I believe there was a photographer there. And on the way, she passes out and she wakes up in a random apartment. And the guy is like, "I need to make sure you're okay. I will stay with you today." It was really cute. It was cute little Princess Witch. Good story. I also really enjoyed this one. This one was the longest of the 6, so I think that might have been why I enjoyed it more, because I got to connect more to the characters. And who doesn't love a good Princess Witch? We love it. We love Princess Witches. It was a really good one. We made it through. So let me know what you think of this setup. A little bit of a different space. I don't know how I feel about the microphone being there, but if it makes a better sound, that's great. But I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.